Hey everyone, welcome to the Wrestling Review. My name is Kyle Fowle, and I'm a writer for the AV Club. We are on episode number 2, post-Wrestlemania 31, and post-Raw after post-Mania, or something like that, whichever way it works out. On the other line, as usual, my co-host. She is also a writer at the AV Club, and she does weekly Monday Night Raw reviews. That's LaToya Ferguson. LaToya, how's it going?
It's going adequately.
Ooh. All right. Too many hours of wrestling this week? Are you exhausted?
I was dead. I died.
So when did you write your WrestleMania recap? Right
Oh
after the
God,
show?
I did. I took an hour just away from it, away from my keyboard, basically, just so I could process everything.
Right.
And then let's see, my review wasn't up till the morning because there were some technical difficulties. So I was done 2:30. And then took another hour to try to fix something. Didn't get fixed. Then I posted at 6 a.m.
Oh. And then you had to watch Raw.
Yeah. I definitely got, I took another nap, after, I finally posted my review because I was dead.
I think nobody's going to fault you for that, so that's okay. All right, well, maybe this will be a little bit easier because we can just talk about this stuff. We don't have to have any sort of coherent sentences or anything like that. So this will be good. So WrestleMania 31, we're officially in kind of the new wrestling season, as it kind of comes to be at this point, where everything feels really, really fresh and really new, other than the main event on Raw. But everything else, for the most part, feels really fresh and really new. There's a lot of possibilities going on. Overall, what did you think of WrestleMania 31?
Despite what some people may think, I didn't hate it. I actually liked it a great deal, and once I could rewatch it without my critical eye, I enjoyed it immensely. I even enjoyed the whole Rock Authority thing immensely once I didn't have to watch it with my critical eye.
So that's, I'm curious because, so is that a really big difference? What's the difference between watching it with a critical eye when you know you're writing about it and then just enjoying it as a straight up wrestling fan?
See, when I'm watching it with my critical eye, I have to think about it just within the greater context of the whole show and just the creative storytelling of it all, and if this is for overall for the betterment of the product, if you will. When I'm just watching it for my enjoyment, I can mark out about The Rock taking 5-minute pauses.
He does take pauses. That is kind of what he does.
Or extremely long.
As my girlfriend says, wrestling's a lot of people just staring at each other, eh? It's yeah.
You said A too because Canadian, right? See?
Oh, you pointed it out already.
You don't notice it, but I do.
We're only a couple minutes in, and we've already got it. Okay, so let's go a little bit through the card. Where do you want to start with WrestleMania 31?
Let's talk about Rusev's tank.
Oh my God, can we talk about Rusev's tank? Please.
It was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Just from the moment Lana shows up with her fur and the belt, and she looks like the happiest human being there ever was, and then he's on a tank, and I wanted to cry because it was so beautiful.
Was it legit the best WrestleMania entrance you've seen?
Yeah, actually. I think it was pretty great. Of all time? Are we talking all time?
Yeah, because all time, I always go back to Triple H last year and how great that was and how epic it was. But I don't know, this might have outdone it.
Mm-hmm. See, I always have a lot of sentimentality towards Miz's "You Can Hate Me Now" video and entrance. Even though the match itself was garbage, that whole thing was fantastic. As a Miz fan for a long, long time, I appreciated it. So I've been a fan of his since the Real World. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's pretty great too. Yeah, I don't know. It was the perfect. Part of me thought it was perfect for Rusev to do this. It made absolute sense in that he's this crazy monster who's going to come in and not only demolish John Cena, but he's going to demolish the entire country.
Because when John Cena would lose, America would die, apparently.
Yes,
I didn't know about that part of the plan.
Oh, man. But then part of me thought, was it a really misguided thing to do, considering they already knew it was going to be hard to get people to boo Rusev and cheer John Cena? Did that kind of throw a bit of a wrench into the plan by allowing the guy to show up like he's in one of the Fast and Furious movies.
I feel like maybe we're like, let's give him his WrestleMania moment since he's going to do the job. And so I was kind of slightly very much upset with the fact that Cena's was just an America like video package.
Yeah.
I wanted him to do like a real entrance, even if it was just like a bunch of American flags and Marines doing push-ups. I mean, I wanted something. That was very
Nikki
lazy.
Bella doing push-ups beside him, maybe.
In a Marine uniform.
That'd be great. Okay, so we know the entrance, Rusev's entrance was amazing, and I think Lana coming out first was one of the best things you could do. And the way she just kind of came out like she was Russian royalty.
Right?
It was just
delight on her face.
Yeah, it was amazing. And the fact that we haven't seen her in 2 weeks, either really kind of, I think, helped with that she showed up. What did you think of the match? This was one of my absolute favorite matches of the night.
Oh, I loved the match.
It was so good.
It was a great match. I'm not so anti-Cena that I can't see it when he has a great match, as you can also see it in my Raw review.
Mm-hmm.
The fucking back springboard stunner.
Oh my god.
What?
Oh my god, I know.
That was, do these things, and I'll ignore the stupid America video packages that were it was very upsetting.
Yeah, it's like, every now and then this is what Cena does, right? He faces this guy who really pushes him to the limits, and he decides, okay, I need to pull off some of my more creative moves that I've never done before, just because that's what John Cena does. Thankfully, it wasn't a Hurricane Rana, because he can never do those properly.
Those are the most disgusting Hurricane Ranas I've ever seen in my life.
It's like, it's worse than him trying to sell the curb stomp. You know what I mean? It's just as bad. But that's...
Top 5 worst things John Cena does. Go.
Right. I know there's too many for you to list. I know. You can't squeeze into 5. But yeah, I thought the stunner was amazing. I thought it worked really, really well. Like, it looked great. It was a really cool move. And I think it really endeared the audience to him as well in that moment where, like, oh my god, it wasn't just he does the tornado DDT off the top or something like that. It was actually
his,
something we've never seen.
Terrible top rope face buster.
Right, exactly. So it was something really, really different. What did you think about John Cena going over? Like, we both decided it was pretty much inevitable that it was going to happen. What did you think about it?
As I said in my Raw review, especially considering what happened with Rusev on Raw, basically, it's that if Cena's going to keep, putting in this kind of work, then I in a way I support him having the belt, but at the same time, it's like Rusev's directionless now, essentially. So Cena beat him, and if he beats him in a match, again, it's going to be a match no one cares about.
Right.
It's just that was my big problem with WrestleMania 31, where I'm just worried about the long-term planning for the future of this company.
See, and that's really interesting to me because I left WrestleMania 31 thinking, wow, this product looks great. You know what I mean? Like, even though Undertaker won, even though John Cena won.
Even though we had dads fighting.
Yeah, which that has its spot on the card as far as I'm concerned. You need to have that match. That's okay by me.
That was the most TNA match I've ever seen in the history of the movie. Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. But still, I thought it worked really well in the spot that it was in, and it was executed pretty perfectly for what it was. You don't think so?
Well, my thing is, I'm not a TNA fangirl. It's not anymore. But all I could think was if/when this exact same thing happened in TNA minus Triple H, people shit all over it. That was basically TNA WrestleMania edition. I watched all that main event Mafia Immortal crap. That's what that was.
I guess I just don't know what else, other than not even having the Sting Triple H match, I don't know what else you do with those two guys. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to go 20 minutes and have a compelling match unless something happens, I think.
I don't think you need all those run-ins, especially just because the logic behind some of those run-ins was spotty at best. But it's they were selling this as a serious match. Unlike, the Intercontinental title match was sold basically as a joke for the most part. But yeah, this was sold as a serious match, and all of a sudden, and I was actually I was into the match. I was enjoying it. I'm like, this is solid. And then, oh dear, all the grandpas came.
Yeah, I'm torn on it because in the moment I'm totally popping for all that stuff. Like I totally am.
That's totally an in the moment thing, but
yeah.
And again, when I rewatched it, I could enjoy it for how ridiculous it was.
Well, and this is what we're getting into with the whole watching it with a critical eye is very different. And I was watching it also with two other wrestling friends, right? So I find when you watch it with people, your reaction's very different too, in that everybody's going nuts for DX, right? Like you're just wrapped up in the moment. So for me, when that music kicked in, it was the greatest. It was so cool that those guys came out. The NWO stuff, admittedly, even in the moment, I was kind of like, Hulk Hogan is coming to defend the WCW guy. Like, not even considering, Kevin Nash / Diesel and Razor Ramon Scott Hall. But, seeing Hulk Hogan come out for the NWO was a little strange. But in that moment, I was willing to just let that go because you know what they want to do and the point of it, and so sometimes it's just better to get wrapped up in it that way.
Mm-hmm. I do know a friend who had never watched wrestling before, but she was watching WrestleMania at a party, and she asked me, why are all these old people fighting each other right now?
Yeah.
Why are the senior citizens taking over WrestleMania?
Yeah, my girlfriend had the crash course in the Sting stuff, and so knew what was going on with the whole Sting Triple H thing. But when everybody else came out, I was like, don't worry about it. Everybody else is going crazy. She's like, I have no idea who these people are. I'm like, no, this is a very, very long time ago at this point. This is totally the nostalgia match, obviously.
And the thing is, you even pointed out in the podcast last week is when Sting, in his promo says this isn't about WCW because that would be stupid, right. And then it becomes about WCW. It becomes that stupid thing he brushed off. It was
a little strange that they made that happen, but again, I don't know. By the time it was done, I was okay with it. I was a little weirded out that Triple H went over. Did you think that was strange?
I was like, oh, Triple H, you rapscallion. Classic Triple H.
But Triple H or Vince McMahon.
An hour later to be like, haha, I beat Sting.
But Triple H or Vince McMahon, let's be honest here.
Either way, it just, again, I've said it before, Sting's not for me, and from TNA, it didn't really help things, so I was like, haha, Sting, you didn't want to tarnish your legacy by coming to me, and then you lost.
But that doesn't tarnish any legacy, I don't think, at all.
You come back to wrestling from never wrestling after WCW to losing to Triple H. If it had been Taker.
I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. In the moment, I was surprised just because I thought there was zero chance Sting was going to lose. So it was genuinely really shocking.
I think a lot of people, a few people won money for betting on Triple H, basically.
Oh, God, I can only imagine. But, afterwards, I don't think of Sting any differently or what he did in WCW or the Crow character or whatever it happens to be. It's all, that is all still there. And he also had a WrestleMania match that ended up being about WWF versus WCW, even though they said it wasn't going to be really. So I think that's more the thing that's strange about it is that they, even though Sting's promo was great, I praised it last week, I thought it was really, really good, to then go into WrestleMania and then bring out the NWO is a really weird decision to me. But it is cool seeing Shawn Michaels get booed at WrestleMania. It takes a lot to get Shawn Michaels to get booed at a WrestleMania, and they did a pretty good job with that.
I give him that.
I kept waiting for Ric Flair to come out, though.
Exactly. I don't even know why Ric Flair wasn't there.
Right?
That makes sense. That makes the most sense.
Yeah, because then that evens the odds right there. It was a weird... That's what I was expecting anyways, but that's okay.
Maybe they were afraid he, drunkenly stumble out and mess things up.
Yeah, maybe. But he was backstage, though. That was the thing. Yeah. He was part of the whole Intercontinental thing at the back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It just seemed like a weird thing to do. Okay, let's leave. That's enough for those old guys. We don't need to really talk about them anymore. I think that we spent plenty of time. One thing I would ask, though, do you think Sting comes back for another match next WrestleMania? Maybe him and Taker?
Maybe, but I'm like, heel turn again. I don't care. I don't want him here.
I'm at a point,
I'll just watch
even where
EC3 beat him over and over again.
Maybe they'll book that. Maybe they'll book that. Okay, so
everyone hates me now.
What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about, I'd say either the ladder match, or we can talk about Wyatt Undertaker, or we can talk about the main event.
We can just get through Wyatt Undertaker, because I've watched it twice and I don't remember it still. I don't remember what happened. I remember Wyatt's great entrance. Mm-hmm. I remember Taker, like, slacked on the entrance, and then it's over. That's what I remember.
It was a really strange thing. Like, I was really... Maybe this is Wyatt's promos, too. But I was really into the whole mythology of what was going on. So this idea of of Wyatt being the new face of fear and coming out and how he's kind of beckoned the Undertaker back. I'm into all this kayfabe stuff like crazy. Like, it's so good. But then the match itself is completely underwhelming. Like, not a bad match, really.
It's a Raw match that's on WrestleMania.
Yeah, in that it was just, there's always this kind of slow, methodical pace to what The Undertaker does. And if you forget that, Michael Cole will remind you that The Undertaker is methodical. It's like his go-to.
Well, he'll tell us during his entrance, and so shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. And so, by the time they get out there, and with a guy like Bray Wyatt who can seriously move, it just seemed weirdly mismatched. Like, I thought Taker looked great. Like, he looked better physically than he did last year, which was really promising. And even the wrestling stuff, he was looking better too. But other than kind of Wyatt, you know, he does that one running shoulder where he flips into the guy, which is always really high impact and really cool. Other than that, again, I think the mythology was the best stuff, which is why my favorite moment was when, you know, Wyatt does his little crab walk and then the Taker sits up. It was like, oh, this is great. That is exactly what I want this match to be, is these two guys with these two gimmicks facing off against one another. But I thought the mythology was better than the actual match itself. Yeah.
Did you shriek when that happened, and did your girlfriend consider running away?
Maybe. That happens often.
You're always shrieking.
If she's
Roman, you're shrieking about a lot of Roman too, right?
If she's stuck at Survivor Series when I'm freaking out for this 57-year-old in face makeup coming out, like at the end, like I've never seen this guy before. I'm like, oh my god, are you kidding? So
you shook her. What's wrong with you?
I'm safe at this point. I think. Okay, do you have anything else to say about Wyatt Undertaker?
Again, I felt like Wyatt should have won. It's becoming basically Wyatt's pattern where, like, he'll talk and talk and talk, and then he can't win the big one. And, like, again, Taker is just basically around his attraction, but he's already lost. He can lose again. It could be a whole thing about, you know, where does he go from here, because he keeps losing, you know?
Yeah.
But instead they're like, nope, Taker's gotta win. Just have Brock Lesnar be the only one instead of having it be like a strange downward spiral thing.
I kind of thought the same thing.
He should have passed the torch, basically.
Yeah, I get that. The only thing that I thought in retrospect was that if Wyatt had won, literally in the show directly after that is the whole video package about Brock Lesnar breaking the streak and being this monster before he comes out to face Roman Reigns. And it's like, if Bray Wyatt had just beat him and then you're going right into the video package about what a monster Brock Lesnar is, I don't think you can do that. I don't think the flow would work. It would be totally dissonant, don't you think?
How do you think?
In that your video package isn't all about the streak and Brock Lesnar breaking it, but that's a solid chunk of it. And I think if you have Bray Wyatt win when the match is scheduled to go on right before Brock and Reigns is supposed to go on, you have this issue where Bray Wyatt wins and then Brock Lesnar comes out and he's not maybe as big and evil as he used to be.
Maybe I guess it's part of the problem. Yeah, with the flow is just the fact that again, since they did it in California, it was fucking bright for most of the show, so they couldn't just rejig it around. And also, they made Taker Bray Wyatt the cool down match, which was already like a warning sign in my eyes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I still think he should have become the new face of fear.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think, as some people are going to say, that Wyatt is buried and here he is again. It's a whole Cena thing over again. I don't think so. Again, it's with all how they book him in the next few weeks and what they're going to do with him. I don't think he looks bad losing to The Undertaker by any means. Like, he gets to go out there and have this big mythological showdown with this guy, and I think that's great. It shows you have a lot of faith in this guy. But you got to book him properly from here on out. That's the big thing.
The thing is, like, with this criticism is that it seems at this point that Bray Wyatt is really, literally all talk, and that can be a problem.
Right.
He's going to keep. He has his promos, and they're great, but people are going to start tuning them out. They're just like, well, you're not going to win anyway. What's the point?
I think in general he needs to wrestle more on the main show. Like, he needs to wrestle on Raw more often and show that he's this total, cult leader kind of guy who can convince people to follow him and cut these scary promos, but he also has to be this physically dominating force, which he's shown he can be in the ring. Like, he's shown he can be that guy. All his stuff that he did with Dean Ambrose there, where they had all those matches, that was great stuff of Wyatt showing what he could do in the ring.
And he won because Dean Ambrose is the ultimate loser.
Yes, we all know that. But yeah, like, so he's unbelievably talented. He's got all the promise in the world. But yeah, like, I think you need to let him wrestle more. He wrestled maybe like twice leading up to the WrestleMania stuff in 6 weeks or something like that, and it was on SmackDown in like a tag match.
Yeah,
like,
no one cares.
Yeah, like, he's not even on Raw wrestling anybody. Like, even have him just go out there and beat Heath Slater or something and then cut his promo, but show that he can do physical things too.
Agreed.
So, Wyatt Undertaker, done. Let's not talk about Wyatt Undertaker anymore.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. The ladder match. This kicked off the show. If you didn't watch the pre-show or whatever, how much did you love this ladder match? I'm not even giving you an option to hate it. So, like, how much did you love it?
On a scale of like 10 to 11.
Sure.
Where 10's already high, but 11's even higher.
Exactly.
I'll
even give you 12 if you want. 12? Yes. Yes.
It was very good. And Dean Ambrose died, which was upsetting.
Oh my God. I was legit worried for that guy. That looked brutal. I love that. What I love about Dean Ambrose, what I love about his character, is that at the beginning of a match, he's going to climb a ladder and drop an elbow on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that isn't a late match.
Even if it's just one person. Even if it's just one person.
He's absolutely nuts. And I think the Dean Ambrose we saw in this match and the Dean Ambrose we saw on Raw versus John Cena for the U.S. title are the best version of Dean Ambrose, where he's crazy in that you don't really know what his wrestling style is like. Mm-hmm. He's this brawler who's going to just kind of do whatever, but he's not a joke. He's not a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a guy who's doing all sorts of funny, weird stuff with hot dog carts and, like, you don't want that. I think you need him to be kind of a very serious character to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic, especially on this week's Raw. Like, as I mentioned in my review, just like the pain on his face, like, once he loses. Like, again, he looked like he was like on the verge of tears because he was so upset with himself. And that's an honest wrestling moment if ever there was one.
I think it's interesting in reading that moment in a way that's like, he had his shot at the Intercontinental, and then he had his shot at the U.S. title, and he fails, whereas Rollins is the WWE champ, Roman Reigns is the #1 guy,
he's the anointed one,
event, And like I like this idea. I don't know if they're going to go there. Who the
It's a
heck
great
knows?
idea if they do.
But this idea of like Ambrose is the guy who got left behind, you know?
Yeah, he
He's
was the
like,
single star within the Shield, and now he's like just kind of a joke. And
and
that's a
like,
fantastic storyline if they do that.
and how over was he when Reigns got injured too? Like, there's
Exactly.
some animosity right there, in that you got injured. I had to carry this
Mm-hmm.
forever, and then you come back and you win the Royal Rumble, and you think you're like the guy.
And you don't even have to like turn him heel if you just
No.
have him acknowledge his resentment towards like his brother Roman Reigns. Like just have it instead of just having him be, you know, a goofy joke. Which I saw some of SmackDown of this week's SmackDown, and they give like him a goofy backstage segment. It's like no,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't
it's
seen it yet.
bathroom humor. It's always fun.
No. Oh no. Chicken fries are back.
Maddie, chicken fries are back.
Did you know? Did you know?
Tyson Kidd's delivery of everything is my favorite.
So your thoughts then? Okay, two things I'm going to put out there. One, the idea that Stardust has his own bedazzled ladder is amazing.
Oh my god! I apologize for not writing about that at length in my review. It was a long night.
Oh, I totally understand. There was too much to cover, but like, I popped so hard for that when he pulled that out, and the way he just looked at it.
I was the happiest person in the world when I saw that.
And
it was really cheaply made, you can tell, but it was still fantastic.
But it's like, it really goes to show how Cody Rhodes is hitting this gimmick out of the park, in that he keeps finding new, interesting ways to make this character interesting, and just like how strange he is. And like, to me, that was probably, I like to think that was a Cody Rhodes decision. That wasn't like the writers coming up with stuff.
I apologize to the WWE writers, but anytime like something truly fantastic happens to a Cody Rhodes character, I'm giving it to Cody.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
He made a fucking mustache work. He made just being pretty a thing, and he's fantastic.
He gets it. He totally gets it.
Did you read my minor fantasy booking of a post-Stardust Cody?
Oh, I did. I sure did.
Did you like it?
Of course. Of course.
Okay. Well, for those unaware, I tweeted that in a post-Stardust world, assuming that it ever stops because WWE has a plan, Cody, when he is Cody again, he should basically just go into like this existential like depression about nothing mattering, like kind of be a Raven-esque character. There could even be a Rhodes flock, and just yeah, exactly. And it would be fantastic because, again, that's the kind of thing that is just right up Cody Rhodes' alley. And I even realized that with Jimmy Jacobs like coming to the writing staff, like that's totally early Age of the Fall when Jimmy falls out of love with Lacey, and it's like it's that gimmick. So there you go. You're welcome.
It's so interesting. Like I like it.
And he would knock it out of the park.
Of course he would. He's done it with absolutely everything. I have a very Cody Rhodes specific question. And it ties in a little bit to Raw. So Raw was obviously like this really hot crowd, which kind of found this weird balance between like marking out and smarking out and being really disrespectful all at the same time. Like, I spent some time being like, this is really, really cool, and other times being like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Basically turned with the third hour, and that's when it,
Yeah, and this isn't specific to this crowd, but in general, I've been really bothered with the fact that people chant Cody Rhodes at Stardust. Like, I don't like that they're acknowledging this kind of previous character. I get why they're doing it, and that the whole idea for a while was that he needs to become Cody again so that he remembers, you know, who his brother is and who his dad is and everything. But we're past that now, and the idea of kind of not committing to the Stardust stuff for the audience kind of just rubs me the wrong way.
Which I don't think it rubs me the wrong way just because it kind of, I think in a way, proves to WWE that they were wrong to like just end the Stardust Gold stuff, because people clearly want like a conclusion to that.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And again, Cody, like he'll still react to it. So.
Yeah, like I think Cody's been doing a great job with it, you know, covering his ears and shouting at the crowd and hissing and doing his whole thing. Anything to get Stardust kind of shaken is great. Yeah. Part of me just wonders a little bit with the fan interaction of like, that's just
It's
maybe
not like a
a little
Husky Harris type situation.
It is different than that. It is
Yeah.
definitely different than that. So that's fair. Going back to the ladder match, though. So Daniel Bryan is our new Intercontinental Champion.
He is.
How do you feel about that?
I am worried about his entire body at all times.
Well, yes. That's
Stop
a
doing
given.
headbutts, which is apparently a thing that everyone's just doing now.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's great, but at the same time, you're gonna hurt yourself.
Again,
And, like,
I haven't seen it yet, but I heard that
it's
tonight's
busted open on
SmackDown,
SmackDown. I think from during his headbutting of Sheamus.
Him and Sheamus, yeah.
Ugh. It's just, I'm just terrified for him at all times.
But are you super excited that he's the champ? I'm pumped for this.
Definitely. It's just, I just want him and I guess Cena now just have great matches with everyone always.
It's going in. Okay, so the ladder match.
I'm looking forward to Cena matches. That's what's happening now.
This is on video. This is on video, just so we're clear.
Everyone knows now.
Do not forget.
Just
Let Cena win. Let Cena win. But so going into like when WrestleMania ended, and I went online and I clicked on the whole championship thing, and there's Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, John Cena, Nikki Bella, and Tyson Kidd / Cesaro, whose picture wasn't there. It was just Tyson Kidd. He owns both the tag team titles. Fact. But I was like, I'm looking at that going, this is really promising. This is really exciting. Like those are your champs right now.
See, now that you say it like that, I'm like freaking out. Because last time there was a situation where we were all excited about that. It was CM Punk, WWE champion. What was it? It was Beth Phoenix, Divas champion. It was Evan Bourne and Kofi, tag team champions. United States champion, Zack Ryder. Cody was Intercontinental champion. Yeah. And then it all died. So you just jinxed this motherfucker.
I really hope not. I really hope not. But I look at that coupled with what Monday Night Raw ended up being. And I know that, like, the narrative always tends to be, well, WWE blows it out on the post-Mania Raw. It's really about how they do it week after week after week. And, like, that's true to an extent, but part of me is like, I just want to live in this moment right now and watch this Raw and be like, this, to worry too far in advance about what's going to happen and not see that the building blocks of something really interesting is there is just shitting on the product for the sake of shitting on the product, I think.
Yeah. The thing that makes me upset mostly is that just when you see that they could put in a great... What happens when they put in just the littlest of effort or even like a great amount of effort? Like they create an amazing show. So the fact that they just kind of choose not to, which that's the upsetting thing to me.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree in that the first... Pretty much all of Raw I thought was amazing. It was all really, really good except for the main event. And even the main event, even though it was a retread and it was too much stuff that we've already seen, my biggest issue with the main event was that the crowd totally hijacked the match. And
they should have known the crowd was going to hijack that match.
They should have. I agree. You should know that in advance. But, like, I was pissed at how much people were booing Roman Reigns. Like,
come on.
No, because like I expect it in that crowd, and I'm hoping that as the weeks go by and we've moved away from the post-Mania crowd and you get back to these, typical towns that you're always going to play, I'm hoping Reigns has a little more respect from people because that dude put on a hell of a main event as far as I'm concerned at WrestleMania. What did you think of the main event overall?
I feel like, well, I'll talk about the main event in a second, but I just want to say that showing up like once or even twice, if you want to count Daniel Bryan, doesn't account for like not showing up all the time. You know what I mean? Like a great effort's not going to really mean that much if you just keep putting on like mediocre efforts. Is what I'm saying essentially. So he has to keep proving that he can do something great. Like I'm saying, I'm looking forward to seeing John Cena matches at this moment. So I mean, it is possible to change people's minds, but you can't just expect it literally overnight.
No, but I think to me it was indicative of this certain mindset of WWE fan that is like, I'm gonna boo him no matter what because I decided months ago that he wasn't worth push, or that they're pushing him too quickly or whatever it happens to be. It's like, fuck you. You loved that guy not all that long ago. And he put on one hell of a match out there. The least you can do is pop a little bit for the guy when he comes out the next night. Like an hour earlier, we saw Brock Lesnar come out, and his face was busted up. He was just like a mess. And that's because of Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? Like, and how you not go, oh my God, that guy put up a fight, is just crazy to me. It's the worst kind of WWE fan behavior that really, really bothers me. I've already made up my mind.
Yeah, they've already, that crowd definitely did exhibit a lot of the worst type of WWE fan behavior. But it's like, also, at the same time, Roman should be, like, I think Roman's, like, place going forward should be that he's just, like, he's not, like, right at the top of the card anymore. He's just, like, putting in good matches, just kind of, like, trying to earn, like, that spot instead of being catapulted again. Just upper mid-card if you have to.
Yeah.
Like, just do that, just put in the work, and then, like, it's going to be hard to deny anything,
Well, the nice...
And also, like, again, he was one of those surprise, non-surprise, like, tag team partners, too, in that match.
Yeah, definitely.
That was, the big guy was more of a surprise.
Well, seriously. I love that the big guy doesn't actually look at Randy Orton when he tells him he's going to be in his tag team. Like, he just looks
he always looks up from a distance.
Yeah, he's like, I'm hungry. Did you know that? It's like, yes, we're aware.
My back impression?
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
The big guy. The big guy.
The big guy.
Oh, man. But, okay, going back to Reigns, then, and just kind of going back to the main event of WrestleMania, I think it's really... The beauty thing that you mentioned about having Roman Reigns kind of in this upper mid-card position, go out there, wrestle some matches, prove yourself kind of thing, that, to me, is what's great about the booking of the main event, is that you have so many options right now as to what you can do in the upper mid-card / main title picture. Mm-hmm. I think the most obvious thing is you're doing maybe Rollins and Orton for a while.
Yeah.
But I think what's nice is that you don't have to commit to one storyline. You can commit to a little bit of Roman Reigns here.
Yeah, because everyone hates Rollins.
Yeah, exactly. It's like everybody can come after this guy now, and they have a legit reason other than just, he's a shit heel and I don't like him. It's like, no, he's got that thing that I want. Mm-hmm. Like on NXT, when everybody shows up, no matter who they are, they want the NXT championship.
So what you're saying is Rhino should challenge Rollins.
God, don't even get me started on Rhino. If he is never on my TV again, I'm okay with that.
Oh, you're anti-Rhino?
I'm, like, not for any reason.
The original big guy, Rhino.
I just, like, I don't care about Rhino at this point. Like, it's a nostalgia thing that doesn't interest me in the slightest.
So that's a nostalgia thing that doesn't interest you, but, like, old dads, you're like, yes, give this to me. You're hearing me.
Yeah, that's right. You heard me right.
Team Rhino versus Team Old Dad.
Oh, God. But let's talk about the WrestleMania 31 main event. What did you think overall of the match and the cash-in and just how everyone looked?
Well, the cash-in, like, I literally screamed yes, and I was in the living room, and my window was open, and I was home alone, and I didn't care who the fuck heard me. I was so happy, because I've been a fan of him for years, since he was Tyler Black, like, back in the day, so it was very emotional. Yeah. The match itself, oh god, Suplex City bitch was in the world.
And then Paul Heyman the next night being like, or as my client says, like he totally pulled it out. He had it.
So good. As for Reigns, I can see a lot of people, just using the argument that, like, for the most part, he was just getting his ass kicked. That was his work in the match, which is basically what you need your work in the match against Brock Lesnar to be these days. But
that's what a Brock Lesnar match is, pretty much. Yeah. At this point.
If this was like SmackDown 2004, maybe it would have been a more competitive match, but not anymore.
No, exactly.
So basically, Heyman was right about being in the wrong time. He would have had a chance back on SmackDown 2004, you guys.
Maybe. But, like, so I thought he looked amazing. I really thought Roman Reigns looked good in that both of those guys decided they were going to work a really stiff match, as far as I can tell. You know what I mean? Like,
that was the best course of action.
Yeah, and I think last week when I said they knew they had to go out and like really, really go and really do something in order to win the crowd over, that was the perfect route to take. In that, this is kind of like it's always this way with Brock Lesnar just because of his UFC and his amateur wrestling background. But it's always like, I think they're kind of really fighting each other.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like he kind of is legit punching him and kudos to really the whole technical team and even the commentary for they were slowing down every shot that they could to show that like Roman Reigns' knee was really smacking him in the face. And that Brock Lesnar's forearm was really going into Roman Reigns' head. Like they were showing it and being like, no, these guys are going to go at each other. And for me, even more than that, Roman Reigns looked great because for once, he got to show some character work that, in the ring, to me, seemed more like the Roman Reigns that I know and that I love.
Yes.
Which is the guy who is strong and athletic and talented and all these different things, but also understands that the dude across from him is going to kick his ass, right? And so he understands he's the underdog. And the look when he got Brock Lesnar stumbling around, like he hit him with one Superman punch, and he's in the corner on the turnbuckles, and he's got that look on his face like, oh my god, I might actually beat him.
I was just thinking that before you even said it too. Like that's the vision like I have when I think of the match.
And I think that's a big moment because the thing we hate about Roman Reigns, or that most people do, is that he's entitled. He thinks he should be there, right? Which is okay to a certain extent with a certain type of character, but you need to humanize Reigns in the sense that he understands that Brock Lesnar is not to be fucked with. And so in that moment, you recognize that even Reigns sees himself as the underdog. Reigns is like, oh my god, I never expected to win this match, just like the rest of you. We're like, you can't beat Brock Lesnar, there's no way.
He's like, I can't, I will was bullshit, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and in that moment, it is I can and I will, but you don't have to say it like that. You just show it instead. You show that he is gutsy enough and maybe stupid enough to like keep taking punishment.
Exactly.
Right? And I think that was a lot. I think that's also I saw a lot of people had problems with this, but I didn't have an issue with him kicking out of the third F5. Because I thought it achieved
it's WrestleMania. Everyone's kicking out of finishers. Ambrose just fucking kicked out of an attitude adjustment on Raw,
which was so good.
Yeah.
Like
so, and you're saying that they both showed up, just to like put on the best possible match, and I think that's really what Roman Reigns needs to do, like this point forward, just like really just put in all the work possible to make great fucking matches to the extent where he doesn't like fucking injure himself because he's putting in too much work. And, just win people over. And it'll be like the Nikki Bella situation where people try to say that he sucks, but you're like, no, he's actually very good.
Well, and even the fact that on Raw, he comes out to all the boos and everything and that, and then he gets in the ring and he jumps over the ropes. He does that over-the-rope jump thing again, which he does better than anybody. Like, he's better than the Usos at doing that stuff. And it was like, yeah, that's Roman Reigns. That's what I want. Do some cool stuff. And, like, don't stand around just waiting for people to do things. Like, come out here and do it.
Yeah, just don't take so much time between your moves. Just fucking work, and people will see it.
Yeah, and I thought
also, please change everything about your attire and music and entrance. Change your music.
Yeah, I like it, but part of me wonders at this point if having him come down through the crowd is just not a good idea because people don't like him.
Yeah, and the thing is, I saw someone make a comment because people were talking about how like they just part of what would help is like, if he changed like his look basically, like everything was like still Shield hand-me-downs, and someone commented basically he's like, well, he has changed his vest. I'm like, his vest literally now has two R's on it made to look like a shield. It looks like a shield. Come on.
Yeah, I get that. It's never really bothered me that much, but I think you would do well to switch them up a little bit. It's
like if you want to prove that you are your own person, a lot of it, I think has to do with stop latching so much onto your Samoan ancestry all of a sudden. You never acknowledged that the Usos were your cousins until recently. Yeah. And also, like, just don't have the Shield hand-me-downs, because it's just going to associate people with something they love so much, and if they hate you, it's not going to make them love you.
So should he get a mohawk and beard beads?
Yes.
Is that what we're saying?
All attractive to gorgeous men need to get mohawks and beard beads.
So, on that note, Sheamus is back. Sheamus is back, and he's a heel.
Which I'm fine with, but now I can no longer be attracted to him.
Oh, boy.
He was a handsome ginger.
Man, now, I am learning things.
Yeah. I'm not really here for... I'm not really here for... Like, he's a sharp-dressed man, and, like... Right. Have you seen, like, just in his, like, civvies? He's a sharp-dressed man. It does a lot. But now he's got beard braids and a mohawk.
I love it, by the way. Like, I agree that it looks stupid, but it's the right amount of stupid.
It's good for the character, but, like, it looks stupid, and everyone who was getting upset about them chanting you, but I'm like, he does.
And you know what? Like, that's just that crowd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were chanting a lot of stuff
also the SmackDown crowd.
Okay, well...
It's caught on.
Well, that's part of the issue. Like, that's part of the problem I have with the Reigns stuff, is I feel like people just boo because it's the cool thing to do now. It's like, well, that's what we do. We boo Roman Reigns, right? Same thing with people that boo Cena, too. Some people are legit, like, they just hate him. But some people are like, it's fun to do it.
Yeah, that's my problem. The people actually who chant both "Let's go Cena" and "Cena sucks," those people are the worst.
Exactly, when they're just kind of joining in with it. Mm-hmm. But Sheamus heel, I think we can both agree. Like, heel Sheamus is the best version of Sheamus, right?
Yeah, he won't cut any goofy promos. He'll just, like, kick your head off and say, I'll kick your head off. The end.
And it was perfect. He grabbed the mic and he said, "I'm back," and that was it. It was like nothing else.
It's not like he's bad on the mic at all. He's not. But it's just that face Sheamus is a racist, immature child. Right.
And it just makes me really excited for... It couples with the Daniel Bryan thing, winning the IC title, in that now, if you can have the IC title be this, like, upper mid-card feud between a ton of guys all the time, all these guys that, you know, there's no room for them in the main event because you can't have 6-7 people, like, doing all this crazy stuff for the heavyweight title. But if you can have these guys like Ziggler, Bryan, Stardust, Ambrose, Sheamus, Wade Barrett, you can give me those guys week after week, going for a title that's meaningful because Daniel Bryan is kicking everyone's ass every single week. That's amazing.
And do you mind SmackDown spoilers? Because I'm, like, basically just tossing him out now at this point.
No, yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Sheamus does cut a promo on SmackDown, and basically his problem is the fact that there are the vanilla midgets in this division, and he wants to destroy them. Yeah, he has his problem is with vanilla midgets, which is the best thing in the world.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, that's why he didn't attack Barrett. That's why he's like, I'm going to kill Dolph Ziggler and Daniel Bryan. These little men with a big title.
Yeah, and I think, that's exactly it. It makes the whole title scene seem more important than it has in 10, 12, 13 years, something like that. Like, not even Cody Rhodes holding it made it as big a deal as it is right now, I think. Not because of Cody or anything like that.
He made great strides, but then, it all went downhill.
Yeah, and so I think this could be huge. Like, I love this time of year where I'm really excited about wrestling, where I'm
Before
excited.
They kill your spirit.
Well, that's the thing, and it probably happens, and it all depends. Like, I expect it to happen. You're going to have bad weeks, and I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. But you need to avoid those long strings of bad shows. Like, the stuff leading up to WrestleMania was not very good.
That was depressing, just to watch and to write about.
Exactly. So you don't want to have that every single week. You can have some downtime, obviously. It's a ton of wrestling to book every single week, right? And you're going to get tired of people. You're going to get tired of... Sheamus is cool right now. Do we get tired of him in 2 months because nothing interesting is going on with him? Who knows, right? So
I'll never get tired of Sheamus unless he turns face. Then I'll have to mute him.
That's fair. That's fair. So I think one other thing that we at least need to talk about is kind of like NXT invasion going on Monday Night Raw, which was unbelievable. Let's talk about Neville, who is now only Neville.
Neville.
He's just Neville. How much did you love it? Again, from a scale of 10 to 11?
I'll give it an 11 just because it was short, as opposed to the 12. Yeah, it was short, but I don't understand some arbitrary taking of names. Like, Neville's not exactly the most intimidating name. At least having Adrian with it gives you something. Especially when the trending topic was Adrian Neville.
I don't really understand what the thinking is behind it. Like, I can't even fathom a guess other than they think it's easier to remember. And it's on a case-by-case basis. I think Cesaro is better than Antonio Cesaro, just because I think it has like this kind of punch to it. But I don't know. It's weird to not think Adrian Neville. You know
I think everyone should have their full name. Everyone.
I guess so. I guess.
Why are you anti-names, Kyle?
I'm not. I'm just saying Cesaro's got something to it as opposed to Antonio Cesaro.
I mean, Antonio Cesaro was a rugby player. That's the thing. God damn it, that rugby. But yeah, it was fun. I loved his cloak, I will say.
I thought it was great. Like, I heard some people kind of complaining that it was goofy. I thought it was so good.
It's basically a mix, like it's half and half on badass and goofy because he looks like a dungeon master. But it's also great. And I'm just really happy the Chuckleheads weren't on commentary for it because they would have ruined every single thing about it. Every single thing. Even if they were told to put it over, they would have ruined it.
Yeah, I really hope they wouldn't have, like just because what
I find the Lord of the Rings mention, honestly.
Well, what I find promising, at least, is that he doesn't have, at least yet, he doesn't have some sort of weird gimmick thing going on. He's literally just the man that gravity forgot. That's his whole thing. He has a cape. He can maybe actually fly if you give him the chance to, and that's it. And I think if that's indicative of the way they can bring NXT people up from here on out, in that you can swing a little bit more towards the idea of these guys are just guys who like wrestling, and we don't need to give them any sort of weird gimmick necessarily. Like, we can give them a cool little thing and an outfit that they do and like a catchphrase or something, but we don't need to build their character beyond that, right?
Well, that sounds like wrestling for wrestling's sake, and we know how Vince feels about that.
It's true. It's tough. I think it's a tough... The bottom line is that in 3 hours of Raw, you have room for all sorts of different things. So you can have the more gimmicky stuff if you want, but there's no problem in just bringing in Neville and saying, no, he's just a dude that like wrestles really, really well and flies around the ring, right? I don't think you need anything... I think he sells himself, especially...
Exactly.
He's shorter, but like the dude's jacked.
He's so jacked that it's always been ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. So I think it doesn't even make a difference that he's short. If anything, it might even work to his advantage a little bit, right? Because he can kind of be the Daniel Bryan guy that Daniel Bryan can't be because he's not that big, Like, he's not that jacked up.
He's an A- player.
Yeah. So he squashes Curtis Axel. That's gone. Whatever.
Poor Axelmania.
Cool debut overall, though. I thought, I really liked the color scheme and everything. I liked the purple and the black going on. I was even down with the wristbands that he had and everything. I thought that was a really smart and nothing too over top. It was a good way to debut him.
It was great, but you know me, and I have to just be negative because I'm afraid for when it comes time for the Chuckleheads commentary. Like, I can't wait till JBL asks, why is it called the Red Arrow, Moggle?
Yeah. I don't know. Well,
when I realized why it was called the Red Arrow, I felt so nerdy for how I figured that out.
That's okay. That's what wrestling fans do. That's the whole thing.
It's
but
great.
If anything, hopefully we're lucky enough and Michael Cole is injured for quite some time or something like that. Like, even if he feels okay, he can't find his shoe that flew off when he took that F5, which was just unbelievable. It was so good. The other NXT debut is the Lucha Dragons. What did you think about that?
I just felt... At first I felt it was kind of weird just because of how they technically already debuted on the main roster. It was on main event, but yeah, it was great.
On Raw, yeah.
Yeah, And it was great because they were smart enough to have Cesaro go against Kalisto, which is the best thing you could ever do for any luchador. Put him up against Cesaro because he's the best at throwing little people around and being a good base for them.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally true.
Yeah, so I was good. And do you want to talk about the New Day sucks chants?
Yeah, we can totally do that, again, as part of the whole crowd interaction thing. Go for it. Your thoughts.
Okay, so the thing is, I saw people whose opinion don't matter to me say that basically chanting New Day sucks. It's only because basically it's kind of racist to even say that because there's nothing wrong with them. It's like, okay, no one is saying that Big E, Kofi Kingston.
Stop with those full names.
Yeah, Kofi Kingston. He still has his last name. Xavier Woods. He still has his last name. No one is saying that they suck. They're specifically saying New Day sucks because this gimmick is upsettingly offensive, and it's an insult to all three men's talent.
Yeah,
they're stereotypical Southern Baptists. They literally pantomime throwing dice when they enter the ring. That's not okay.
Yeah.
And if Xavier would just gonna keep clapping like that in that pattern, then at this point now they're just inviting the New Day sucks chants.
Well, that was part of the problem that I have is that I don't have issues with the chant at all. I think it makes sense, and I really don't think it's a reflection on the wrestlers at all. It's totally about the gimmick.
There's no doubt in my mind the people love Kofi.
No, and Big E. Big E is pretty over for a while too, and Xavier is a great wrestler. He hasn't had a chance to really show much, but
he's a better manager, I'd say. But
But these are guys that can do stuff, right? And
no one's saying they have any problem with these people.
No, my problem though is that New Day is not. I feel like in ring they're not telling the story properly in response to these chants. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That they're still the way Stardust reacts when people start shouting out Cody in order to kind of mess with the crowd or play into it, or the way John Cena was responding on Monday Night Raw by getting them to sing along to the John Cena sucks chant and everything. New Day isn't responding in any way. They're still just going out there and they're doing the clap. And when Kofi was like, New Day and it sucks, the whole that's gonna happen. And you can do that, but then pause for a second and be like, why aren't these guys behind us? Show us that it's affecting you or something, you know?
Exactly. And I think one of the most interesting things New Day had done before, I don't even remember what it was one of their random intros, when Xavier's on the mic and it's we have to keep the rage inside or whatever. I'm like, well, that's fascinating. Tell us more about this rage that apparently you can't let out for a reason. And, Big E actually, after all, he kind of got on a weird Twitter rant, which I think was...
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, basically saying, I clap because, and he's said all this terrible stuff, basically about shitty fans, which I felt like that's a good step. And actually, again, on SmackDown, which I'm just ruining for you at this point, Primetime Players had a video promo cut just insulting New Day, just running them all throwing them down. Yeah, and it's no one wants to do the New Day chant. What they want to do is millions of dollars, and it was fantastic. And I'm like, wow, this could actually go somewhere very interesting now.
Well,
and I hope they do something.
Well, that's the hope, right? I think the hope all along has been that WWE Creative realizes that they have a heel faction on their hands, and that they figure that out. You know, and you don't even really have to change their music or change anything necessarily. Give them some new outfits, maybe.
Their outfits are so terrible.
Oh, it's brutal.
Especially now that they're highlighter yellow.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I can't put up with it anymore. It's just a terrible gimmick, and I hate it because I love those guys. Mm-hmm. When Big E was going against Rusev, I thought Big E looked amazing. He had some of his best matches.
I honestly want nothing but the best for Big E, and it upsets me that he's in this position.
I know, because he's unbelievably talented. And Kofi, too. Kofi's never going to be a main title guy or anything like that, but he's a guy that can totally work. Mm-hmm. And you're giving them this terrible gimmick that is just clearly not over with the crowd. And you got to pull the plug on it at some point.
And this was somehow apparently WWE's response to, all those articles about racism in WWE, which seems odd. No, you're going in the wrong direction. You're doing exactly what they're critiquing.
Yeah, I don't think they totally get it. But, All right, let's move on from that. I don't think we have a ton more to talk about, but I want to talk at least a little bit about the Divas matches and give Divas a chance in general. I feel like WWE is making an actual effort to give them legit matches now, right?
Yes. Well, now that I'm making this also a SmackDown podcast, the Natalya Naomi match from SmackDown is fucking great, and
Yeah.
the crowd is so into it. There's like early on there's part where they like do in stereo nip ups, and the crowd just starts applauding basically, and it's like, see, this is all you had to do. This is all you had to do.
So this crowd is not nearly as offensive and misogynistic as the Monday crowd.
That Raw crowd was a piece of shit. Although, because I was really into the match, and I only heard, the good stuff, and upon, rewatching it again, because I've been rewatching episodes just because my brother works, so he misses Raw.
Yeah.
But, so I heard, part of the blah, blah, sucks, whatever.
Yeah.
But, it's bullshit.
I was like you, I was on all the good stuff, I heard the, Let's Go Divas and all this stuff, and I was like, oh, this is good. And then there was a point where I heard the USO thing, and I was like, why are they doing USO?
Right when they're coming off commercial, because apparently if you were watching the app, then you heard all that shitty chanting.
Just absolutely brutal. So, if anyone watching or listening to this doesn't actually know, you didn't notice it, we almost didn't too. Basically, the crowd is chanting, so-and-so Natalya, whoever sucks, and then their male counterpart, whoever their husband or boyfriend or whoever happens to be. For everyone, for Natalya, for Naomi.
It wasn't just a heel thing.
No, and for AJ, I think.
Of course.
And it's just, that's disgusting. You know what I mean? It's so far beyond what a wrestling crowd should be doing.
See, and I felt like a dick too after the fact because I was hearing the good ones. I thought the Bellas suck to the tune of John Cena sucks. I thought that was really clever. And I was like that's great.
And the Bellas are heels, so
exactly. Okay. And honestly, the Bellas, because I guess So Divas, they're kind of beloved, so they don't get nearly as many boos as they usually would. So I'm anytime anyone can find a way to boo the Bellas, it's actually good for them, even though I like them. But it's but once someone told me oh, they were also chanting this, oh fuck.
Yeah, but that aside, I think we're going in a really promising direction right now. It seems like with Stephanie McMahon's comments after WrestleMania talking about give Divas a chance, and she's mentioning how it doesn't feel like a thing that they're just grasping in order to kind of make it a viral sensation and get eyeballs for a while.
Now
it feels like a legit
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wish the match at WrestleMania was longer. I thought that was too short. That was a little upsetting. Cut down on The Rock and Ronda Rousey and give me more.
Just cut down on the pauses. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, so it was a little too much, but overall, it's been really, really great. Really exciting stuff.
All of the sheets, all the dirt sheets are saying basically that apparently officials in WWE didn't realize that people legitimately wanted to see real diva stuff. It got loud enough now that
which is good.
It was trending finally.
It's nice that shows that kind of not only that fans can have that kind of interaction and change the direction of what a company is doing, but also it's nice to know that there are people within WWE legit listening to us and legit listening to the voices and saying, you know what, okay, we can give this a shot. And now what we need, though, is to not have crowds like Monday night totally undercutting the matches. Go out there and cheer the hell out of these matches. Respond in the areas that you're supposed to respond to. You know, cheer when AJ is getting up from the headlock because that's what you're supposed to do. Boo when Natalya puts the rest hold on. Whatever you got to do.
And if it's a bad match, you can boo it, but just don't be that. Don't do that.
Exactly.
There's there's just no explanation for that other than you're a horrible person.
Exactly. Before we leave the Divas alone, I just want to say that Natalya looks badass now.
I love her Mad Max cosplay.
Oh my god, I am so into it. You
are in love.
It is
Sorry,
just.
Roman.
She just looks so badass. She's healing it up now, and it's amazing.
My brother's well, now I miss all her heart stuff. I'm no, she's a heel now.
No.
Leather.
And she's way better at it already. I think.
Yeah.
Like, she's way, way better at it, which is typically the case for the most part. Like, it's easier to play heel than it is to play the babyface, especially in the Divas division, I think.
Plus, if you watch Total Diva, she's already the biggest heel in the world, in my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, do we have anything else we really need to talk about?
What are you talking about?
Like, I think that was pretty much just about everything.
I don't want to talk about Andre the Giant. I do not.
No, like, it was what it was. I really enjoyed. I like that Miz and Mizdow got their spot. I liked Miz on Monday Night Raw, totally screaming in his face. I thought that was great.
Yeah, let's talk about how Mizdow's a huge asshole, and I was right all along.
And I said this was great. I said this is exactly what I wanted, for Mizdow to steal his whole gimmick. He's like, it's mine now.
It just, again, it's just like, what's going to happen when he has to be Damian Sandow? He's nothing without Miz's thing. And the thing that makes Miz, like, the heel, because obviously, like, Miz is 100% right by the things he's saying about Mizdow, is that Miz turns it all the way up to abuse. That's what makes him the heel. Basically saying, you're nothing without me, which is true, but the way he goes across saying it is the most abusive thing in the entire world.
Like, obviously you need to have these guys feud for a while, because you just need that to keep going. I agree. I'm a little worried about where Sandow goes after this. But at the same time, I think he's kind of over enough that whatever he does, there's at least going to be a grace period where people are behind him no matter what, just because they totally respect what he's been doing for the past year or whatever.
I also do worry, though, about just that this will go into the direction of who gets the claims to the Miz character. Because, like, in theory, Mizdow should win because he's the face. But, like, if Miz doesn't win,
Miz is doing the best work of his career. You can't.
And he literally is the Miz because that's literally his name.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm totally with you, 100%.
Mizdow can't really take it. He sold his. Is he gonna try to steal Maurice away from the Miz? Can that be the next part of the storyline?
Maybe that could be it.
We get to the point where literally, again, people just can't tell the difference between them, and she thinks her husband.
Oh, that would be pretty great.
That would be pretty great.
Yeah, I think that's probably about it, eh?
Okay.
I don't know, unless there's something else. The only thing, like, we didn't talk a lot, I guess, about Lesnar going absolutely nutso.
That was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
I was freaked out.
There were hearts in my eyes. I was so happy.
I was scared out of my mind.
Aww.
Like, when he flipped that announce table, I was like, was that planned? Because that looked deadly.
I thought it was amazing when he chased Seth Rollins and was able to catch up with him.
Twice.
Yeah.
Twice. That
was insane, because Seth Rollins, as we all know, is very fast, and he was gunning it, and Brock caught him with the quickness.
Yeah, it was a perfect way to send away your part-time guy. Mm-hmm. We're not going to have you on TV for a while, so how do we do that without it seeming too contrived? Exactly. And Brock Lesnar is scary enough that him picking up a cameraman and Michael Cole and whatever is something that guy would totally do. And Paul Heyman is there selling the hell out of it. Like, I can't control him. What do you want me to do? Like, when he's telling Stephanie McMahon, like, stop berating him. You're just making it worse, Like,
he shouldn't have said put him down, because he put the guy down. He did what she said.
His favorite thing in the world.
Let's see. Final thought, though, is Diva Search. Diva Search is coming back.
Right. And, like, I'm kind of wary just from watching NXT and seeing whoever that new diva is that they're going to have debuting.
Who every time they show the promo, I'm like, she better be fucking good. Yeah,
because it worries me that they're just... It makes me realize how lucky we've been since, like, Paige, Emma, Charlotte, Sasha, being like, oh man, let's not forget, as great as this is right now, historically speaking, this is an anomaly. Mm-hmm. I'm worried that it's going to...
Like, even though Alexa Bliss is, like, the typical diva, like, she's great, so it's okay, like, when she becomes the huge star. But Dana Brooke, again, every clip they show from that video package they keep showing where she's like, this doesn't happen over a day, and she, like, does this a bunch. It's like, they never show any wrestling clips. Yeah. They never show any clips of her wrestling, which is very troublesome.
Yeah, I'm really, really worried about it. And so, like, that's my worry extends into the Diva Search thing, too.
Which, if you're going to be showing about the legacy of divas and you're going to be showing clips of Ashley Massaro, red flag.
That's when you know for sure.
Ashley Massaro, who got just, like, injured just walking.
Oh, God. Well, hopefully it'll be better than that. But I don't know. Let's not end on the negative. Let's remember that WrestleMania was amazing and Raw was amazing.
Well, if we can be positive and bring up the Diva Search. You know, Layla was in the Diva Search, and Layla's great.
It's true. Totally underused, but she's pretty great. So, all right.
Layla, we love you. Bring back Lay Cool.
You got anything else?
Just bring back Lay Cool.
That's it. Bring back that's your hashtag for this week. It's not Let Roman Win anymore. Now we're
the one that people can support. Bring back Lay Cool.
Okay, fair enough. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the Wrestling Review, talking WrestleMania 31 and Raw. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like it on whatever else. There's a SoundCloud page now where you can download the audio. You can listen to it that way. It'll all be posted down below there somewhere in the description. Yeah, that's it. We'll see you next week. LaToya, later.
Later's on the men, Jay.